I'm Raheela Mahomed. Thanks for joining us. We start in Hawaii, where the island of Maui has been devastated by wildfires, fanned by winds from a Pacific hurricane. At least 6 people have been killed, and more than 2,000 residents have been forced to evacuate their homes. Some people escaped by boat as the fires destroyed buildings and hundreds of hectares of land. Power lines have also been cut. Authorities are urging holidaymakers to stop travelling. Thousands are left stranded at Maui's airport, and several major fires are still burning on Maui and the nearby Big Island, with warnings the death toll could rise. Well, earlier I spoke to Matthew Capucci. He is a meteorologist and atmospheric scientist based in Washington, D.C. And he says dry weather and strong winds are fueling these fires.
Well, I think one thing that's very much key is the fact they've had a drought lately. The air there is dry. The land is a little bit drier than average. And obviously, you have drier temperatures, which means drier conditions and more fuel available to burn. But at the same time, a fire this big, which thus far has burned about 242 hectares, can only grow to that size if the winds are strong. That is the case right now. Hurricane Dora passed about 800 kilometers south-southwest of Honolulu. But at the same time, its wind field was big enough that they're still seeing winds flowing into the storm of about 60 to 70 kilometers per hour. Those east and northeast winds will continue much of the day, and again, gusts over 70 kilometers per hour, helping those flames to spread. Right now, 6 people have been confirmed dead. About 12,000 people on the northwest tip of Maui in the town of Lahaina are at biggest risk. 2,100 people are in shelters at this hour as well.
Now, looking at the pictures that we just showed, much of the areas affected looked like a forest in those night shots. Let's see if you can pull them up again. But actually, from what I was reading, much of them are homes. Has this surprised you, how quickly this has escalated?
I think one thing that is very unfortunate about a situation like this is that it's much like the fires we saw in Colorado several years ago. Obviously, fires do happen in natural territory, but when you have homes that are close together, it's that much easier for the flames to hop from one building to another, because essentially to the fire, that's just a big stack of wood. That's just a stack of fuel. So yes, that is kind of the most difficult part with this. Right now, we have about 7.7% of the entire state of Hawaii under at least a moderate drought or worse. That is worse than 1 year ago. And I believe that Maui is seeing some of the worst drought at this point. So yes, it is significant, but really it's one of those situations where even though it's abnormally dry, the wind is the biggest factor, and how tightly packed the homes are is another big factor.
Now, just talk us through the changes in the weather patterns that we're seeing taking place elsewhere around the world.
Well, one thing that we've noticed in the past, and particularly the past decade or so, has been an uptick in the amount of extreme fire behavior we've seen. Not saying that's necessarily a case this time around, but as the earth continues to warm, you have hotter temperatures, which sap the ground of moisture even more, making it easier for the landscape to burn. Simultaneously, when you have big sprawling heat domes or ridges of high pressure in control, which is what brings very warm temperatures to begin with, you also sort of expand the atmosphere vertically. What that does is allow the fires to grow taller, allow the smoke to pour higher into the atmosphere, and allow realistically for that extreme fire behavior to become more common. We've seen that time and time again over California, over Russia, over Alaska in the past several years. This sort of a different type of fire, this more a structure fire compared to big boreal or a forest fire. But regardless, you know, whenever wind is a factor, you tend to get higher end results.
Matthew Capucci, thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you.
Well, now extreme heat has tightened its grip on southwest Europe. Hundreds of firefighters are battling wildfires in Spain and Portugal, which have experienced their 3rd heat wave this year. Temperatures have soared over 40 degrees Celsius.
After 5 days, this fire in southern Portugal is finally under control. It's already torn through 10,000 hectares of land. The blaze grew so large it was visible from space as it spread towards the popular Algarve tourist region. 20 villages and more than 1,400 people threatened by the flames were forced to evacuate.
It was horrible. There was fire everywhere, and we had to fend for ourselves. Nobody was there to help us, but luckily I had 3 friends who came.
Across the border in Spain, firefighters are also dealing with a wildfire in the western region of Extremadura. Locals here are worried about the loss of ancient woodland.
We are worried and upset because we have an enormous, massive forest, centenary cork oaks, and we feel very sad for them.
People all across Spain have been dealing with punishing conditions. With 45 degrees Celsius heat in Cordoba and similar highs across swathes of the country, authorities are urging people to stay indoors to protect their health. Scientists say climate change is helping push temperatures to new extremes, with July confirmed as the planet's hottest month on record. Already grappling with record temperatures, increasing wildfires, and historic water shortages. Unfortunately for Portugal and Spain, the future doesn't look much brighter. The whole Iberian Peninsula is said to be one of the European regions hit hardest by climate change.